This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B plus level.
Roger, main B undervolt. Okay, stand by at 13. We're looking.
Welcome to Favorite Images with UFAH. This is Rendezvous, and we have Martine that has chosen a new favorite image that we're going to talk about today. Martine, we are looking at your image here, and that's you don't have to be a rocket scientist to tell that it looks like a face. Would you please describe your image?
Well, the first thing that I spotted that this was just lying there on this slab of rock. You're looking at it at some distance, maybe 20 feet from the rover, and immediately I could see that, you know, when you see the eyes lined up like that, you see the nose where the nose would be and the mouth where the mouth would be. It's a sure sign it could be a head, a statue head, an ornament, whatever, or a petrified head. Couldn't wait to zoom in on it and give it a bit of light enhancement. I'm always so delighted when I start to see the shapes start coming up through and even colour. I never ever apply colour to my enhancements, but they're there. And as soon as you start to sort of lift off, in quotes, this sort of fuzziness or the sepia colour that we're so tired of, up come these colours. And straight away, the first thing I could see was that you can see the hair. And I'm thinking, if it's a statue, would we see such fine detail there? And beneath it is this very sort of serene-looking face, much more serene than one or two other heads that I found, which were a lot more gruesome, if you remember. But this one, I mean, he looks very peaceful. You can even see he has a moustache and a bit of a goatee beard. And also running through his hair looks like a little gold band or gold thread with something that looks like a chain that's falling off and resting on the ground next to the head. I immediately thought of ancient Greek. You know, the hairstyle, you know, this little band, which I believe is technically called a stefan, that they used to wear in those days. I can remember when I first spotted this, I thought, oh, not another head. Anyway, as I say, that I use very little tools on my enhancements, and I'm always delighted when the detail starts coming up. It made me think back, as I say, back to the ancient Greek days, and you can see that I put an inset picture of a Numidian youth, exactly the same kind of hairstyle with the band around it, just like it shows. I don't know, we find so many of these anomalies which seem to reflect what we know of our own ancient cultures. You know, a lot of things that are very reminiscent of ancient Greece as well. I would so love to know why we have this mirroring going on with things that we're finding. And then suddenly we'll find these modern things like Joe's boat or the vehicles that Neville's just found. You know, I mean, we're seeing such a vast array of eras and different time scales here and different styles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's wonderful.
Yeah, some of the statue heads that I found quite a lot. Some of them look very similar. They look to this one that you've got here, the Greek-looking one. But some of them look Olmec, or like they're from South America. Some of them look like they're from the Middle East, like Egypt, or something like that. And every time I find one, it seems to fit a style that we have already down here.
Well, my two figures that I found on the Glenelg plain there, And Billy pointed out that it reminded them of the Hendro Indians, you know, the Indus Valley Indians of that time. The way they're dressed, the jewellery, and the face. Actually, the face looked very South American, rather like the Mayan profile. Yes.
Yes.
Joey, you're talking now, so give us your thoughts on it.
Well, this is another example of what looks like a Mars head. I mean, is it carved or is it actually a real head? That's the question.
Right.
Because the hair detail does seem to be very fine. It's hard to tell. This is the problem when you have low resolution images like this. It's very, very hard to tell sometimes whether you're actually looking at a real head or a carved head. Because even I mean the hair detail is amazing. It may be a real head, a petrified head.
Petrified.
Yeah, I have found them. So and lots of body parts as well, as well as heads. You know, but there are on Earth there are seals that have been found in Antarctica, which are over 6,500 years old, which have been perfectly preserved in the dry, cold conditions. Now, if that can happen down here, then on Mars they could probably last for tens of thousands of years, perhaps. Who knows? Well,
we have the Chinchorro mummies that have literally freeze-dried. I mean, they were taken up mountains, the Inca Mountains, and they've the temperature. I mean, only 500 years old, I think, but all the same, absolutely perfect. Looked like she died. The one I'm thinking of looked like she died yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
But in fact, it seems as if you could wake her up. You know, there's no advanced state of decomposition. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Coach Billy Carson, what's your thoughts on Martine's head?
When I first saw the image, I kind of took a gasp because it looks so real. You know, the hair on the mustache and the goatee, and the hair on the head. I mean, I start to think, why would somebody create a piece of art or a sculpture that has real looking hair on it? I mean, but it is another planet. You never know. But and something I asked the guys earlier in the chat was, you know, if you're carving these structures, these art pieces of art, why would you create them with closed eyes? I see a lot of closed eyes. Neville did bring up a good point that they may be looking down. You know, that is a good point. Yeah. But there's just so many of these with closed eyes. I don't understand. I mean, again, it is another planet. There could be a different way that they express their artwork, but most artists do make the eyes open. But there's so many closed eyes.
Yeah, and also, Billy, why so many of the statues, the statues that we find, are all facing the rover?
Yeah, that is true. that is a very good point. They all seem to be facing the rover. They get into a special position. I mean, this is the one of the most incredible things is this mystery. It's hopefully we live long enough to see this thing get solved, because I would take any level of disclosure at this point. I mean, you know, it's just the amount of heads, everything is coming up out of the sand. I can understand if there was a global flood, you'd probably have a lot of people trying to get their head above, a lot of animals trying to get their head above the mud level or the water level to breathe, and maybe everything kind of froze in that position, and you have a lot of heads sticking up, you know, out of the mud. I can understand that too. And there's just so many heads with closed eyes. It's a riddle. I mean, I can't figure out how these can be sculptures. And it's just the neck up, you know, the neck up. A lot of beheaded sculptures. That's all I can say.
Yes.
It's very common with statues when they get damaged for the heads to come off. Just down the road from me, there's a place called Bath in the UK where they have Roman baths and statues, and they renovated some of them recently, and because a couple of them had their heads broken off and arms and stuff like that. So maybe they are statues, but it may also be the case that these are burial statues, which may explain why they have their eyes shut.
Yeah. Could be.
But I have found some with open eyes, and the Cyclops statue I found, which looks like an Olmec head, which is very large. This thing is about 4 foot high and about 4 foot wide, and it has one eye still on it with a pupil, and this bright white eye that looks like it's been inlaid onto the stone, like some kind of semi-precious stone, like opal or something. So if they were making statues, some of the eyes were actually placed into the eye socket.
Yes, yes.
Neville, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it could be a statue's head. What I found is they actually made the heads and placed them on the ground where the person was buried, and then they drew the rest of the body on the ground flat, you know. That's why I said to you, today they could have. You're saying that having the eyes closed, right? They could be either looking down or right. They're like busts of the person's head, you know.
Yeah.
To show people what they used to look like, you know. Because you see drawings in that everywhere, drawings of figures of children I've found playing with balls and things like that. What I found is that they used to draw on the rock because they probably didn't have anything to draw on. So that was the that was their like type of like photo gallery, you know. It was, you know, and then over the years, you found that they ran out of space, so they used to draw inside of that face. So you get faces overlapping other faces, but this, I think it could be either it's maybe it's fallen off a statue, but when I looked at it, on the bigger saw, there's nothing else around it, you know, really, for it to fall off. So what I'm thinking is it could have been placed there, maybe at one time stuck up, standing up, you know, and the rest of the body's being drawn on the ground. Also, what I found is I found heads with loads of little pots and that around, as if people have come and have laid presents down for the dead person, you know.
Yeah.
Like an offering,
Homage to them, yes. Do you remember that I put a post up a short while ago that had, it was like a little building, but on the top there's like a head, and it looks like Colonel Custer. You know what? I think
yes.
And he's actually turned and facing the rover. And how NASA missed that, because it is so clear. How could they possibly have missed it? There's nothing like it anywhere around it that looks like that.
Maybe they're just leaking a little bit at the time.
A drip feed. A drip feed. I've thought that.
The leaving bits, you know, the leaving bits for us to find, you know.
Those bits they can explain as rocks or sand, you know. Yeah.
I mean, I've also found quite a lot of heads which seem to have helmets on.
Yeah.
As well, like old style Roman or sort of middle-aged sort of knights' helmets with metal cheek plates and crests and that kind of thing. So whether these are burial items and the graves have been disturbed and we're just seeing the very top part or remains, I don't know, because if there was a cataclysm there, then there was a burial area or temple in this part of Gale Crater, and it was destroyed, then a lot of these things would have just been thrown around all over the place, and they're just lying on the ground.
Also, those foothills where the rover is now, I think there's probably been a lot of land slippage, you know, with water running down there, especially when you get the summer, in quotes, you know, and you get the gullies, they start to flow again. And I think that a lot of things are actually coming to the surface where they are being exposed. I I can't remember the soul, but we found so many faces and heads appearing and pieces. It was like a treasure trove, but probably more like a scrapyard. But it was like a treasure trove.
I would like to add to your picture here. I think it's an amazing one. You are doing some of the absolute best, top class pictures, Martine. That's for sure.
Thank you so much.
The last one you brought up with the two persons also was amazing also, and then you come with this. How do you do?
How do I do it?
Do you have a secret we don't know about?
Well, I've explained to Neville what I do. I used to use contrast and sharpening quite a bit, but now I tend to use a burnishing tool very much more, and I never do a blanket contrast on an image. I just I enlarge it quite considerably first of all, and and then I sort of will start to work on it at that point, and then I will reduce it down in stages until I'm happy with it. But instead of, I'll only work on the anomaly. I won't bother to sort of do anything with the surrounding area. And I tend to use the burn and burnishing tools because they are much kinder than a contrast tool, because it only will enhance. Well, it'll make the darker areas darker. It'll make the lighter areas lighter without flooding into each other. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you remember when I was discussing Rami's boat, Moses in the boat as I called it, he calls it Moby Dick. I've also recently looked into the shadows on these anomalies, you know, especially when I felt that something was concealed or well worth having a look at. And as you can see on the garment, what Moses is wearing, it was just a very dark shadow, but I managed to pull out all that detail. I think it was it Neville, or I can't remember who, said that they thought another figure was actually standing there in front of him, and that it wasn't on the garment. Now that was something that I hadn't really thought of. It was Rami.
Was it Rami?
Incidentally, Martine, the last image you did of the little dwarf couple.
Yes.
I did a video of it the other day, and I looked around, and there's a pistol lying right in front of them. A very small pistol.
Oh,
about 3 inches long.
I know what you mean, but I think that's her boot, and I think her foot has broken away.
No, not that. It's below that, in front of them. There's actually a thing on the ground in front of them, not on the side there. There's a pistol
with the foot, right?
No,
okay.
it's nearer to the camera,
right.
And lower down in the image. It's near the bottom of the image. It's a pistol, a very small pistol.
I'll have another look. There's so much I'm finding going back to it. You know, everyone's been saying, what is that strange figure further back from the couple, where it seems to be slightly elevated?
Like a hovering rock. Yeah, that's very strange.
That's when we feel the addiction to it, you know, because
and also
behind it, and what's that behind that?
Yeah, and also to the left of them and a bit further back is what looks like a canteen, a water carrier.
Yes, I didn't bother
like
with
a
that.
jar or something.
You are gonna send me a picture of that so I can put it in here in this video.
It's in. Yeah, I will do. Yeah,
yes,
I will.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martine, for sharing your great image with us. You are getting 6 out of 7 stars here, that's for sure. That's a really good one. And that was episode 11. We are going off Mars now in episode 12, and we are going to Mercury with Coach Billy Carson here, and going to have a little debate about what picture he have chosen. Thank you for watching episode 11. See ya in number 12. Bye.
Bye.